Ruben Amorim is expected to become the next Manchester United manager. There has been a here we go from Fabrizio Romano, and wow, Ruben Amorim is going to change a lot of Manchester United. We spoke about him, we spoke about his setup in other videos, but I'm going to talk about which players would fit in, which players won't fit in, which players he will sell, and we're going to break down every single player in the Man United squad, who I think he'll keep, who I think he'll sell, who I think he'll loan, and then who I think is just going to leave when their contract ends. And then at the end of this video, we're going to talk about potential players that I could see him keeping short term, but selling long term that might not match his plans moving on. So please do hit the like button. Of course, subscribe down below if you're new. But Ruben Amorim likes to play free at the back. There's going to be changes at United. He may start with 4 at the back when he comes in. He did adjust slowly at Sporting. Be interesting to see what he does formation-wise. But I think there's a lot of players in the Man United squad that I think don't 100% suit him. So we're going to go through each position. We're starting with Harry Amas. And Harry Amas is an absolute keep for me. Harry Amas, in terms of what he brings, he's a very attacking-minded fullback. Ruben Amorim likes attacking-minded fullbacks. He likes technicality in his fullbacks. Harry Amas needs to develop physically and defensively, but the left back is more of it's more of sort of a left wing back. Obviously, in Amarim's system, it is a left wing back. It's more attacking. Harry Amas has the technical traits and abilities to get forward to do that. I think he's one of 3 youth players, and I'll talk about the other 2 later on, that I think could really break through in the next 2 years under Amarin and suit his profile. Anthony, I think, is a straight-up sell. If Anthony is going to work, it would be left wing-back. And considering he's not good enough defensively to play full-back, and also the wing-backs need to do a lot going forward, I generally think that Harry Amas has more potential to be better attacking than Anthony. And maybe that's just me, but Anthony was a very Ten Hag signing. I watched Anthony at Ajax. He wasn't a bad player at Ajax. But he's very much a Ten Hag signing. I think now that Ten Hag's gone, Anthony will go with him. It's also been said by very, very credible journalists and sources and information I have that Anthony's been told he can go in January. Even when Ten Hag was here, Anthony was told he can leave in the next transfer window. He's not going to get minutes. Now that Ten Hag is gone, it's almost certain Anthony will leave. Bayendier, I don't really care what happens with Bayendier. Would you keep him as second keeper? He's kind of irrelevant. Let's be honest. Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is a very interesting one, because he's not had his best season, although he probably was our best player in the West Ham game. How he didn't come out of that game with 4 assists is absolutely crazy. But he's one where, you know, he is getting on a bit. United may look to move on after a poor season. And in Amarin's system, I don't know where he goes. He either goes as the shadow striker in Amarin's system, which I don't think has worked very well under Ten Hag, because Ten Hag's deploying him as more of a shadow striker than a 10 this season, or he plays deep as a number 8 in Amarin's system, but apparently plans is for Agate and Maine to play as number 8s. Now, I think Bruno Fernandes, because of the quality of player that he is, will stay, but I think he's a player that in 2026 will go. I think in 2026 he'll go. I like Bruno. I rate the player. I think he's a fantastic player. I also think if you look how good Bruno was for Portugal, and then he comes back to United as shite, I think a new manager comes in and Bruno Fernandes could become a very good player again, because we know Bruno Fernandes is a very good player, and I think a new manager could come in and see that. So I think Bruno is a keep. Casemiro is expected to be sold. Again, Amarin likes sort of his players to be quite athletic, and that's something Casemiro struggles with. I think Casemiro's looked good the last 3 or 4 games, but he is expected to be sold in the summer. Man United were actually open to selling him this summer. Ineos actually wanted Casemiro gone this summer, but because of his sort of wages and everything, it was very difficult to sell him in the summer. Toby Collier, I'd probably loan him. He's not really getting the minutes here. I think he's a good young player, but we just don't know if he'll be United level. He can cover ground. He impressed me in pre-season, but I think Toby Collier is a straight-up loan. Dalot, I would keep. I do have some question marks around Dalot and his system. I think it'll be interesting to see how Dalot does. He might be a surprise sale in terms of if he doesn't suit Amarin's system, because I don't think Dalot's that good going forward. I think he's better defensively, believe it or not. Maybe that's just me. But because he's such a technical player and can convert into midfield and bring so much uniqueness, I think that he will be stay. I think he'll be fine. But he's definitely one of the players. The fullbacks are definitely players that, under Amarin, it's interesting to see how they do, because that's going to be the biggest change in the system. De Ligt is obviously keep. Like, De Ligt's going to stay. I think he's, as I said, I don't know if you watched the video where I said how he has very similar characteristics to Diamonde. I think he will be the central centre-back, though, because I don't think he's as good as Licha and Euro and build-up. I think he will be the central centre-back in the system, the leader. And what I like about De Ligt, and what really impressed me, I thought he was really good in the West Ham game, I thought he was really good in the Fenerbahce game, is how he seems so confident as a centre-back, his ability to step up, play a high line, He's a fearless centre-back. He feels like he can play in the pressure of United shirt. He's played for Juventus, he's played for Bayern, he's played for Ajax. He's won league titles in 3 leagues. I think he knows how to play for a big club, and you can see that in his mentality, which is what I like. Amad Diallo is a definite keep. I think Amad Diallo would be excited under Amarim because I think Ten Hag probably didn't give Amad Diallo the fair minutes that we could say he deserved. I think Ten Hag was more than willing to just bench Amad at any given opportunity. It'll be interesting to see because Ruben Amorim's forwards play very narrow, and I think Amad Diallo is someone at Sunderland who played as more of a wide 8. It can do well in those half spaces, and as a narrow forward quite up the pitch, I think Amad has potential to be very lethal and then could be unlocked by Amarin. I think Amad and Rashford are 2 players I'm very excited to see in terms of how Amarin could unlock them. Eriksen's contract will end. Eriksen is having a very, very good season, but his contract is obviously set to end. Ten Hag is in there because the person that made this when Ten Hag was still manager. But Eriksen's contract will end. Johnny Evans' contract will end. And I think Tom Heaton's contract's set to expire as well. I don't think he's on this list, actually. So that's the contracts that are set to end. So, yeah, I think Eriksen's been good, but I think, again, Ruben Amorim likes legs. He likes athleticism. I don't think he's going to extend. Garnacho keep. Honest, I think Garnacho is such a talented player, and I think, yes, he's missing a few opportunities maybe he could have scored versus West Ham, but you know that if you watch Garnacho, he's got everything to be a brilliant player. He just needs to work on that finishing, and that's so normal at his age. You look at Ronaldo at age 20, not saying that he's ever going to be Ronaldo level, but I think for where Garnacho's at his age, he's such an exciting young player, but he's still got some certain areas to develop at. Now, under Amarin is very different to Ten Hag. Ten Hag likes his wingers wide, Garnacho running pace. Amarin is a bit more narrow. I think Amad and Rashford suit that more than Garnacho, but I also think Garnacho could be moulded into a really good player under Amarin. So he's obviously a keep. He's obviously a player for a future. Ineos want to build the squad around Maino, Højlund, Garnacho. So he's definitely one for the future. Højlund keep. Guys, I don't think people realise how good of a player Rasmus Højlund is. I'm going to say this now. Rasmus Højlund, in terms of a profile player of the year, could be an absolute monster. We've got a real talented player in Rasmus Højlund. I think he could I don't know if he'll have a Gyökeres level season or anything like that because we just don't create any service for Højlund. But this is a guy with his attributes and characteristics to be a 20-goal season striker if you give him the service. Him running at players, he's a proper, I think he could be a proper striker. I think he could be a proper player running the channels under Amarin. I think in a good system. He got 16 goals last season with no service at age 20. Yes, we spent 70 million on him, but we signed off the back of a 9-goal season in Serie A where he was 4th or 3rd choice striker for Atalanta. And then we call him a flop because he doesn't score 20 goals at age 20 when he scored 9 the season before. I think there's a really good player in Rasmus Højlund. I think Lindelof will probably be... I think his contract expires, actually. I think his contract expires. I was going to put Lindelof in sell, but I think his contract expires, and I think United have no plans of renewing that. I think with Victor Lindelof... he did actually play with Amarin at Benfica, weird fact, and he has been better in a back 3. But I just think, unless they give him a 1-year extension for depth, which I don't think they can actually, I think they can give Maguire a 1-year extension. I think he goes, and I think we bring in 2 new centre-backs. I think we bring in a full-back. I think we bring in 2 new centre-backs. I think we bring in a midfielder. I think we bring in another attacker in the summer with Amarin. I think we probably bring in someone in January as well. Harry Maguire, so Harry Maguire, the thing is with Harry Maguire, is he either leaves for free this summer or we extend his contract and we've got to hope that we sell him and get money for him, or he leaves for free the next summer. Now, I actually think Amarin will use him and utilise him back 3. Maguire can play in a back 3. Maguire's one of those players that from now until the end of the season I think is going to be really good under Amarin. But because of his age and his wages and everything, I think United will ultimately look to sell Harry Maguire. Continuing on into Kobbie Mainoo, absolute keep. One of the main reasons for Amarin's appointment is because Manchester United want to build the squad around Kobbie Mainoo. Ineos see him as the face of the rebuild, and that's why they brought Agartha in to be the partner to get the best out of Kobbie Mainoo. And it was an article that I read, and I might do a video on it, on sort of how Amarin's going to change the midfield. I might do a video on how Amarin's plan for Mainoo and Amarin's plan for the midfield. But Ineos want a manager that's going to utilise Agartha and Kobbie Mainoo in the pivot. That is the plan. That's why they brought Agartha in, and they were getting annoyed that Ten Hag wasn't playing him. So Kobbie Mainoo, I think, could be the face of this rebuild. Honestly, he really could. Tyrone Malacia, I'm assuming, is just sell. To be honest, I don't think he's never really been a proper wing back and attacking player, and I don't think he's going to get back to his very best. And it's a shame what's happened with Malacia, but I think he'd sell. I think we'll go to Luke Shaw. Now, I'm going to be honest. If Luke Shaw could stay fit, he'd keep him, but he's not going to stay fit. He's not going to stay fit. So he's going to go and sell. Now, that's more to do with fitness because Luke Shaw, in terms of what Amarin would want in his left centre-back or left wing-back, Luke Shaw has the capabilities to do that. But Luke Shaw is practically a walking hospital. So I think for the fact that Luke Shaw is practically a walking hospital, he will be sold. But if Luke Shaw stays fit, he's 100% in that keep category. There's a very, Luke Shaw's a good player, but Luke Shaw is like Reece James, but worse. Cannot stay fit to save his life. Mazraoui's a keep. I think, even though Mazraoui, again, like Delo, isn't best known for being a crazy and attacking right back with crazy attacking output, I think Mazraoui probably has better versatility at right wing back than Delo. I think it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I think Mazraoui, because of his technical abilities, could do well. I also wouldn't be shocked if he does try Delo out right centre back or Mazraoui out right centre back. But Amarin at Sporting's left wing back is a lot more attacking than the right wing back. The right wing back is more of a right back that can go forward, help and attack, but also is quite good defensively. The left wing back's more of a left winger. So that's why I think Alphonso Davies would be the ideal signing at United. Continuing on, Mason Mount. Mason Mount might be sold. The thing is, Amarin likes a shadow striker in his system. Amarin likes a narrow forward that can press. Mount can do that. But I think, like Shaw, because of his injury record, I think he'll go. Mount was a very Ten Hag signing for Ten Hag's system. I like Mason Mount. I think there's a very good player in Mason Mount. But he wasn't what Manchester United needed, and he can't stay fit. I don't think he gets in our best starting 11. I think he's a very good squad player to have. I think he's got the legs. I think he's got the energy. Maybe he works well as an 8 under Amarin. Maybe Amarin gets him going well as an 8, but it's the fitness. I think he could go. I'm going to put Mount and keep. And the reason I'm going to put Mount and keep, though, is because can he get a run of games under Amarin between now and the end of the season? That's what I want to know. If at the end of the season, Mount is probably like to be going and sold unless he does well. I think Mount, this is his second season. I say 2 full seasons and then we decide on a player. We're only in the beginning of his second season. If he can stay fit, maintain a period of fitness and do well under Amarin, he will stay. But so for that case, because he's so new, he's in stay. But he's very much on thin ice. Obi Martin is an absolute keep. Obi Martin, again, he's one for the future. Obi Martin is massively one for the future. But I think in terms of what we've seen of him already in the academy, I think there's an absolute monster in Obi Martin. I look at Chokerez and the profile of striker that Chokerez is, and Obi Martin is kind of like that. He's like a monster. He's a bit of a beast. He's a powerhouse. He has similarities there. We also brought in a kid called Lasal, who's a young winger. That'll be interesting to see how it develops. We also brought in James Overy and Sekou Kone. Sekou Kone, I believe, isn't on this list. Sekou Kone will be an interesting one because Sekou Kone and Obi Martin are seen as players that could get on the bench and maybe feature in a Carabao Cup game this season. In terms of youth players, Harry Amos, Toby Collier, Sekou Kone, Obi Martin are the ones that United feel could be getting minutes this season. Shea Lacey is obviously highly rated. I think Shea Lacey is an interesting one in Amarin's system. But there's some really good youth players there as well. We will talk about, maybe we'll do a video talking about youth players in Amarin and how what he's done with the youth at Sporting and what he could do with the youth at Manchester United. Okay, let's continue on because there's not too many left to go. Anana is just probably a keep. I think Anana is very much a keep. Amarin likes goalkeepers that can play out from the back, that are comfortable on the ball, and you get that in Anana. I think his first season wasn't the best, but I felt his second season, this season so far, I think he's played quite well. I think he's probably been one of about 3 players that's actually had a decent season for us so far this year. So props to Anana. I think he's been quite good this season. Marcus Rashford. Now, loads of people will put him in sale, but he's staying. And I know everyone goes, Alice, you love Rashford. You've got a Rashford love. Why do you love Rashford so much, Alice? Alice is Rashford's PR. Rashford is the only player in the Man United squad that's capable of scoring 30 goals. Now, if Rashford has a crap season this year, when Amarin comes in and is not performing, I will change Rashford to sell if Rashford is crap this year, because you cannot have 2 poor seasons in a row. But I believe that Rashford, if utilised right, will have a good season, will get his confidence back. I think he suits Amarin's system because I think if he's the left forward in Amarin's system, that's going to get the best out of him. And there's only one player in this Man United squad that's capable of getting those numbers, and that is Rashford. And people say, oh, but Rashford's selfish, he doesn't help the team. He does. You need someone that can win games. When you're not at the best, you need a player that can win games. Salah isn't particularly liked. Some people say, Liverpool play better without Salah because Salah gets goals and assists but doesn't help the all-round game. Liverpool didn't have Salah, they weren't better. You need game winners. Marcus Rashford got more goal contributions than Ten Hag's first season than Vinicius Jr. got last season, and Vinicius Jr. is crying that he didn't win the Ballon d'Or. Now, I'm not saying that Rashford is better than Vinicius Jr., but what I'm saying is I think as a fan base, we really disrespect Rashford's ability. As a player, if he's back, he's our best attacker. If he's back. If he doesn't get back, we sell him in the summer. But I believe he works in Amarin's system. I believe he's a very underrated player at United. And people call me Rashford's PR. I generally think Rashford is one of the best players that we have. And I will stick with that. Agate's the most obvious keep in this list. I don't think there's going to be a more obvious decision than keep Agate. He absolutely was unbelievable under Amarin. Amarin knows how to get the best out of him. Amarin actually knows how to use him. There we go. Agate was at his best under Amarin. Wheatley I'd loan. The reason I'd loan Wheatley, I think he's a good young player, is more to do with the fact that we've got Obi Martin that I think is more likely to break through. We've got Bean Cheery, Obi Martin, and Wheatley in the academy. I think Wheatley would do well from a loan because also it's not the most stable at the moment for United and creating chances for strikers. So I think Wheatley would do very well with a loan. And then I think we've got Lenny Euro, a really obvious keep. He didn't even play a game under Ten Hag. Maybe that's a blessing in disguise for him. Amarin likes his centre backs. Lenny Euro is someone that's really good in terms of being able to step forward, really good in terms of reading of the game, recovery pace. Lenny Euro is a player that I think any manager in world football would want because of what a unique profile he is, what a fantastic talent he is. So I think it's all good for Lenny Euro. And then last but not least, Xerxes. Ten Hag absolutely utilised Xerxes wrong. He started asking him to do the same role he'd asked Sebastian Haller to do, which was beyond crazy in my opinion. But he likes a shadow striker. He likes to play with two strikers. I've always said this. I think Xerxes would play his best football with Højlund, and I will stick with that now. I want to see Xerxes and Højlund together. And I think we've got strong possibilities of seeing Xerxes and Højlund together under Amarin. So I think Amarin is a keep for me. But listen, people, let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you disagree with. I'll go small so you can see the whole list here. I think in terms of sell, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in those players, 6, 7, 8, loans 9, 10. So that could be 10 out the door in the summer. I think players like Mason Mount are definitely on thin ice. Rashford could depend on form as well. But I think Rashford's going to have a great season and do well. But we could be seeing around 10 exits, maybe even more. You never know. It could be really brutal. Could be really brutal on Amarin because remember, he's going to have like 6-7 months to assess the squad before the summer to make those decisions. Anyway, please hit the like on the way out. Of course, subscribe if you're new on that road to 100k. Thank you for watching. Bye.